It's that time again. It is the Traders Podcast here from Courage Pays Better Than Fear Trading. It is episode number 14. I am your host, Jeremy Ritz, reminding you to get the hell to work, get after it. It's the month of April. Hopefully it is going very well for all of you, all my traders, active investors out there, working hard to make it happen for yourselves in the market. I'm excited to be here with you for this episode and want to start out by showing somebody listened very closely. I was saying, a gift that I wanted, if you're looking for a gift idea, was an NVIDIA hat. And there you go. There it is. So I'm sporting that here today. Very excited. And in fact, NVIDIA is on a bit of a run right now. Today, PPI came out yesterday. CPI came out. It was hot yesterday. The market tanked. We've had some down days. Potentially, we're starting a correction, but NVIDIA is up today. It's running. I may or may not have a position in there right now. But anyway, I'm loving to wear the hat. It's some good luck. It's one of my favorite stocks to trade. So thank you for the hat. Shout out to you-know-who. And today's show is going to be all about what do you do when you're on a winning streak? We often talk about how to be a good loser, how to manage slumps, how to manage losing streaks, but we never really spend time talking about what do you do when you're winning, when you're just crushing it, when you're stacking gain on top of gain on top of gain. And there's a strategy for that you need to follow so that you can maximize those wins. So we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to have our Ask a Trader segment. That's going to continue. And then we'll also take a look at ROKU, who has just been getting beat up here, especially with that high inflation. So we'll take a look at that. Before we jump in, I want to just give a shout out to a new book that I'm reading. I'm constantly reading, but from Jeremy Alexander Newsom from Real Life Trading, my mentor and coach, his new book, Master Yourself, Master the Markets, Finding Internal Greatness and Financial Freedom. Currently reading this right now. It's great stuff. And I'm working to get Jeremy on the show potentially for next week, episode 15. So very excited about that. Stay tuned. We are working to set that up as we speak. All right, so let's get into it. It is time for Ask a Trader. So here we go. I gotta wait for the intro. Ask a Trader. All right, here we go. Here are the three questions that you guys came up for me for this week. What is your favorite candlestick? I like hammer candles, love them, but I love that big bullish engulfing candle that just comes in and it's just massive and it just traps and smacks all those bears. There's nothing more that I like to see than a bullish engulfing candle show up whenever I'm in a long trade. And there's just a feeling that I get from it that makes it my favorite candle, which kind of lends itself to this next question. Jeremy, are you a bull or bear by nature? And my optimistic nature, I'm positive about things. I have a positive outlook. I'm a bull. I'm a perma bull. I'll short, and I take things short, and I have to wait for a really strong edge. But by nature, I'm optimistic. I like to see things grow and go higher. So I'm a perma bull. I love being a bull. I love to take those things higher. It's funny. I was talking with my daughter the other day. We are saying, what would your brothers be if they were an animal? And, we were talking about what my daughter would be if she was an animal. And she said, Daddy, if you were an animal, you'd be a bull. So even the kids know that I'm a bull. I love the bulls. So let's go. And then finally, this question, what is your weirdest trading habit? So I have lots of them because I'm on the weird side, but I'll give you two. One is when I'm in a trade, I have a tendency to cheer for whatever position I'm in. So if I'm in a bullish position, I'm going, let's go Bulls, let's go Bulls. Or if I'm in a bearish position, I'm going, let's go Bears, let's go, let's take this down. So there'll be times that I'm cheering at the screen, thinking that somehow cosmically I'm influencing the trade. So that's one of my weird habits. But something else that I do, I don't even know if you call this a a weird habit, but it's just something that I use to monitor my trades. But as the trade is progressing, and let's say I'm bullish and we get an upper wick, I'll mark that with a horizontal line and I'll watch that as a resistance area that if we close above that, that's a good sign for my trade. And I'll do it on the flip side too. So, those are two little things that I do. And I always listen to the same song every day whenever I'm starting trading. It's Akira the Don, Novel Ravikant, and maybe I'll even try to work it into the show today. But it's called Read What You Love Until You Love to Read. I know that sounds like a weird thing to listen to, but that's like just gets me in state and ready to go for the trading session. So there you go. That's the Ask a Trader session. And hopefully you got some enjoyment and value out of that. You know that I'm a permabull. And let's jump into our topic today, and that's what do you do when you're on a winning streak? Again, we spend a lot of time talking about how you have to be a good loser, how do you manage a losing streak, all those things. But I want to spend some time talking about what you do when you're on a winning streak. So I'm coming off 3 super strong months. I probably the best string of 3 months that I've ever had in trading. That was January, February into March. And I was thinking, we don't spend a lot of time talking about what do you do when you're on those win streaks. Well, the first thing is just savor those moments. Savor those times when it feels like you can do no wrong. You get into a trade, bam, you're hitting target, and you just have that edge, that knack. Because the reality is that's not always going to be there. Right now in April, the market's struggling to find direction. We had some bad inflation data come in, and it's kind of thrown things off of its bullish trend. We know that we need a correction. And I'll be honest, I haven't had a great edge either way, bullish or bearish, right? And the first 3 months of this year, I was locked into the edge. And it's a good reminder to yourself that, you're going to have those great times. And when you're having those great times, remember them. Remember what it feels like. Remember what those wins feel like, those big, massive wins where it feels like you can do no wrong. Every button that you click, every trade that you get into, it's pure gold, because you're going to have those months where you're struggling and you feel like you're a terrible trader. You can't do this, but you need to have that full descriptive memory of those good times so that can help you push through those times when you're struggling. Okay. So really immerse yourself in those moments when you're winning, when you're crushing it. And also too, you want to remember your mindset, what you're thinking about, what your routines were, all those things, because if you ever do get into a slump, you want to try to recreate that. Those inner representation, the inner dialogue, your routine. I talked about the song that I play when I trade. You want to know what those are so that you can repeat them and try to get yourself back into that state where you can trade effectively and profitably. So that's the first thing that we need to do when we're winning. And that's where keeping a journal of your trading is important. So you could reflect back on that and know how to improve. Okay, so that's the first one. Number 2, when you're crushing it, you're killing it, make sure that you're withdrawing those funds from your brokerage account and you're allocating them to whatever it is that you're looking to grow your wealth, whether that's buying assets, it's buying rental properties, it's putting it into index funds to grow long term. These are things that you're not trading. This is just active investing. You're maybe putting it into a savings account that maybe doesn't have a huge yield, but you just want that cash there. But you have to make sure that you pay yourself. You don't want to let your money sit in your brokerage account and do nothing. You need to put that money to work for yourself. Now, that's something that I struggled with starting out. Was I just love to see that big, massive number in my broker, and it was hard for me to take the money out, but you have to put it to work. And also too, at the end of every month, take out what you profited and make sure that you're setting aside the money that you need for your taxes coming up that following year. Remember, the way that your tax on your trading is whatever your income tax bracket that you fall in, it's that on your short-term capital gains. So get that money out of your brokerage account, right? And that's the other thing. Number 3 is have a plan for that money, right? It's great to make the money, but if you don't know what you're going to do with it, then you're going to have the tendency to just overtrade it and lose it. So have a plan. You should have some type of financial plan that says, I'm looking to generate X amount of dollars by X time so that I could do X, Y, Z. So whether that is purchasing a rental property, let's say that you make 20K 1 month, get that money out of there and figure out how much of that you could put towards a down payment or whatever it is that you're going to do, but have a plan for that money, right? Because if it just sits there, going back to having it sit in your brokerage account, it's not doing anything. Sure, you have more money to trade with, but you're going to have 4-to-1 margin on your account anyway, or in some cases 10-to-1 margin. Put your money to work for you. All right. And number 4, pay attention to what it is that is leading to your success. So again, to contrast this with losing trades, we often talk about, okay, what is it that led to the losses? Was there a certain misstep that you were making in your trades? Well, what is it that you're doing in your winning trades that's resulting in your wins? So you should study your wins just as much as you study your losses. So I'm in the camp that believes that success leaves clues. Now that's straight from Tony Robbins, but it's the same with your trading. Go back and look at the best trades that you ever had. Try to find those commonalities, what's similar between all of those, and do more of that, right? Just like we do with our losers. We look at what we did wrong, we find those commonalities, and we try to avoid those things, right? So study your winners and identify what it is that works for you and double down on it. Do more of it. Okay. And then finally, number 5, when you're on a winning streak, this is super important. You need to celebrate the fact that you are making it happen in the markets. Okay. Be proud of yourself. Be excited that you were able to do this. You were able to trade the markets profitably. You should be excited about that. Build yourself up. Allow yourself to imagine and think what's possible as you continue to do this 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, because this is a skill that's never going away. Celebrate with your family and friends. Share with your spouse. Hey, I had this big win today. I made $1,000 trading NVIDIA, right? Whatever it is, $500, $200. Celebrate, right? And that also comes back to those moments. You have to remember what it feels like to have those beautiful trades where you just feel alive, on fire, excited, because you're going to need that to prop you up when you come into those slumps. So those are 5 things that you could do whenever you're on a winning streak to make sure that you're getting the most from it, not just from a monetary standpoint, but just from a psychological standpoint that will benefit you moving forward in your trading. So hopefully you found that helpful here today. And then we're going to close up by taking a look at Mr. ROKU. So let's do that now. And I got to pull up the chart. Let me pull up the charty chart here. And I'll be honest with you, this one is not going to look good. So give me a second. And let me come back over here and share my screen. There we go. And here's Mr. ROKU. Let's bring this guy up. All right. So here we go. We could see we're still hanging out down here. We're still down here. Now, we did break that trend line that existed. And that happened here on this candle. That was, let's see, what date was this? This was Friday, April 5th. So that was last week. So you could see that we broke that trend line. And now, I mean, we're down. We bounced off of the COVID 2020 lows, right? So it got down to a low of 58.38. And again, because inflation has been coming in hot, that means that there's a possibility that rates aren't going to be cut, or they're going to be pushed out a long time from now. I think right now they're forecasting the first rate cut into September. And so this isn't a good look for ROKU here. Again, we broke that trend line. We found some support here off those COVID lows. We pushed above it. And with this candle, things look pretty promising, but you can see we got knocked back down. And today, things, and there was actually positive inflation report from the PPI, but you could see this thing is just selling down. So just not a whole lot happening here. And you could see that the volume is tiny. There's not a lot of interest in this stock. We're below the 10 EMA. And the thing that's going to have to try to provide some life to this is going to be its earnings. That's going to be reported on April 25th. So that's coming up here pretty soon. The only thing that stands out to me that looks somewhat positive here is this bounce. We've got some bullish candles. If we go back and look at the last few bounces, right, bounce, a few bullish candles, and then there was a big, massive gap up here. Now, this one was on earnings, right? But if we go back even further to this bounce here, you had a bounce up higher and a little bit of selling, and then it ran. So there is some hope. And then if you look at this dip here, we came down lower and then started bouncing higher. So not giving up on this. Eventually it's going to run. It's just a matter of when. If I'm going to forecast out what's going to happen here, here's the thing. Last April when it reported earnings, that was right, it wasn't there, right here. It was a big old nothing burger, right? If we zoom into this, it really didn't do much of anything. So this was the day of earnings right here. So you could see that it sold off the day before, then it sold off the day of earnings, and it just continued to go down. So, and that was following a little bit of an uptick in February off of that earnings report. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Again, this has just been so tame and just so lackluster that something has to come in here, but it's going to need some type of excitement, a company buying it out or some type of new product or something like that, because this is just, it's uninspiring. So maybe what we'll get before that earnings is the start of a double bottom. Maybe we'll come back down, retest that trend line off of those COVID lows, and then we go higher. But as of right now, Mr. ROKU needs some loving. So, because he is not doing too well, but he will be back, right? All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for episode number 14 of the Traders Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here. Again, next week, I'm going to try to get the man, Mr. Newsom, here on the show to talk about his book. So much appreciation for you checking out this podcast, watching, sharing with your family and friends, leaving comments. Please like and subscribe. Anything you want me to cover on the show, tickers you want me to look at, questions, please send them my way. I love doing this, so just send me that and I'll make it happen for you on the next episode. And again, love my NVIDIA hat. Have a phenomenal week and weekend, and I will see you back here for episode number 15 of the Traders Podcast. And remember this, courage pays better than fear. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.